Hi, I'm Michael here at Lake Michigan Angler, and this is going to be our first impressions of the new Shimano Tekota 800 PGLC reel that has just come into the shop. It's pretty much new to the market. It replaces the prior generation Shimano Tekotas that so many anglers here on Lake Michigan that salmon fish have come to cherish and love deeply. So let's take a look at the reel right now. It obviously looks very different aesthetically from the prior generation. Gone is like that silver look. Now we've got this blue kind of thing going on here. Not quite sure what color blue this is, but as you can see here, we've got an entirely different look. One thing that we immediately noticed from the new Tekotas compared to the old one is the spool itself is not as wide as the prior generation one. It's a little bit shorter, but it looks like they made up for it in the depth here. Something to consider in that you've got this big star drag system here. It's just like oversized, and that's something that sticks out really unique about this version of the reel itself. I think obviously we haven't used this on the water just yet, but this thing right here is pretty interesting. The oversized to me maybe makes it a lot easier to get yourself on the drag. Say if you're fighting a fish and you want to try and get in there real quick, these big oversized, it's hard to miss them. So if you want to try to change the drag on the fly with your thumb to back it down, or with your forefinger to tighten it down, it makes it easier to handle. Another interesting thing about the design on this one is if you look here, you've got the line guide system. It free floats. It's not really connected to anything right here. It just kind of free floats off these two rails. That's something that's pretty cool, a little interesting design there. And then of course we've got the line counter here as well, with a simple push of the button down, it resets your counter, pretty standard. While it feels like obviously the core frame of the reel is metal, the side here, maybe it is a metal, but it certainly feels like it could be some kind of a plastic. Not quite sure, we could be wrong. Again, we're just kind of learning. This is just the first unboxing of this here at the shop. So we're just kind of really just kind of going off of this first impressions without digging in too deep at the moment. The handle itself feels really good. It's pretty oversized. It feels good in the palm and the hand here. And of course the rest of the system here this is really solid. Very, very solid right here. This whole system, pretty much standard here. You've got the release there. Everything else about it, yeah, it's pretty clean. It's a clean looking reel for sure. Now, one other thing that I wanted to point out that stood out to us is that the gear ratio for this reel is a 3.9 to 1 gear ratio. And when you compare that to the prior generation Tekotas that were at a 4.2, I believe, this is a bit slower in the gear ratio. So depending on its use, who's using it, what you're trying to do, this may be a positive or this may be a negative. And finally, we'll wrap up this kind of overview, first impressions of the Shimano Tekota 800 PGLC by going over the line capacity, which is obviously important. I think most folks here are going to be looking at using this with your copper lines, your long lines, or so on and so forth. But what we can tell you here is on the mono side of things, 30-pound line, you can get 525 yards on here. 40-pound test mono will get you 385, and 50-pound mono will get you 315. On the braided side of things, Power Pro, for instance, your 50-pound braid is going to get you 1,250 yards of line. Your 65-pound braid is going to get you 920, and your 80-pound braid will get you 750. So it seems like there's going to be plenty of room on this thing to back it with some braid, and then put on your long line copper, your 300, your 400s. If that's what you're eyeing this for, or any other kind of configuration. But it definitely seems to be able to hold quite a bit there, especially on the braided side. So that is a wrap up of the Shimano Tekota first impressions overview of it. And again, we'll have more to share on this once we're able to get on the water and in the very near future to put it to use. And if you're interested in the Shimano Tekota 800, come on by here, Lake Michigan Angler, to check it out for yourself. Get it in your hands is one of the best ways to kind of feel it out. And get a feel for it and decide whether or not this is the right reel for you. I'm Michael. Thank you for watching.